Greetings, this is Dale Knudson. I've chosen my own property for design. I'm located in Kansas City at 5401 Northeast Meadowbrook Road. That's pretty much dead center USA, 880 feet above sea level, 39 degrees north, 94 degrees west. Nearest body of water ocean-wise is Gulf of Mexico, 600 miles to the south. The property is a long rectangle. This faces predominantly west, the front of the house. Up at this end here, the elevation slopes downward for a total drop of 34 feet from front to back, sloping downward into a creek about 1/3 woods and 8-foot wide creek down here at the bottom. There is substantial water runoff from the top of the hill over in this area across the hard surface here on the road, and this is carried away predominantly by low points on both sides, north and south along edges, that the water just rushes back down here. Existing property is listed here in SketchUp. We have north facing at the top going north, and sun angles of course move from east to west, right side over to the left. There's a lot of shade in the front yard, so heat gain is not much of an effect due to summer sun in the summertime. Circles represent deciduous trees. We have a lot of shade and trees on this property along the north side, and the steeper area in the back here is fully wooded. Goals for the property include a lot more planted edibles, food forest toward the back of the property, and shrubbery, bush size edibles, berry plants, etc. everywhere else. Looking for water storage and possibly combined with swimming and exercise near the house somewhere. We're after greenhouse, somewhere close to the kitchen, a kitchen garden with herbs, other vegetables, etc. Looking for aquaculture, perhaps with tilapia, certainly water plants. We'd like some quail, probably the smaller Japanese quail, and one or maybe more rabbits, primarily from manure. The same thing for a worm farm. And it'd be nice to have a little less dependence, a little more backup than relying purely on city for water, electricity, and heat. Also looking for a compost bin area. Suggested improvements to this property include the following. We need to catch some of this water that's getting away. It's a substantial runoff. We want to divert the water into swales at both edges of the properties. I'd be aiming for a hugel bed, not a large one, but a continuous one along the property edge, to make sure the water stays on the property and out of the neighbors' yards and gets to our swales. We have swales on contour on both sides of the property, fairly short swales. On the mound side, we'll be putting in shrubs, edible raspberries, blackberries, gooseberries in the shadier spots, etc. Sills on the swales will probably be located on both ends to assist the water to get to the next swale and downhill, hopefully capturing most of it, but we expect water to continue to move downstream. We have 3 water impoundment areas. The first would be to also catch rainwater initially, rainwater coming off the roof, working into a custom-built storage tank, storage bin. This is under the first level of a 2-level deck. There is a ground bottom thing here that can catch water runoff and be filled roughly 6 feet by 7 feet. Overflow from that would continue on out to the hugel bed to be guided down to the next swale. Our next water impoundment area will be at the corner of the property just before the back fence. There's a low spot, looks to be ideal for a roughly 10 by 10 foot aquaculture pond. We're in Clay County, if that gives any indication of the likelihood of good dam building soils, and hoping for tilapia raising there, and also water plants, water chestnut, etc. Depth roughly 3 foot. Below that, past all the forested area, we have a creek location, roughly 8 to 10 feet in width. Seems to be a perfect dam location down toward the upper edge of the property. This will back up onto the neighbor's property if I run at a full 3 foot depth here. he's okay with that. This is a very remote area back here. Nobody ever is down there. On my property alone, this will result in a minimum of 500 square feet roughly just on the creek bed alone at a full 3-foot depth, considerably more as it runs into the shallows to the side. This large circle here represents a current walnut tree. Good production from it. There is a problem with that walnut tree. There's erosion at the base caused by an erosive area that's maybe 2 foot deep coming down this section here. We need to add dirt in here, even that out, and then swale across it to slow that erosion down and repeat it from re-eroding. Dirt in this area is about 8 cubic yards for $200. Not expensive, and should get this done plus quite a bit of other projects. A quick photo of the base of the walnut tree shows the erosion. Here is a photo of the creek bed itself. Location, the down tree represents one edge of the dam, a lower shot of the dam location here. As we bounce up to the top of the property, we're catching runoff from this area here. Comes down the street, and we have a similar problem at the other end of that. This curves around. You can see contour flags laid out for location of the swales. The other side of the yard, similarly, flags laid out for swale locations. Slow that water down. Here's our main spot for the greenhouse that was recommended earlier. Coming out here, checking sun angles for this latitude. The neighbor's house is set back far enough there's no conflict there. This greenhouse would use a deck level with the first floor, and at that point we'd probably bring that deck out only about halfway, 4 feet or so. The quail and rabbit hutches could easily winter underneath that deck. Halfway out there'd be room for crops in front, and the deck coming out here would allow for a couple of benches here. In addition to underneath the deck in this portion here for winter quarters for rabbits and quail, there's certainly plenty of room for them to be tractored over top the septic system here, which is listed. Not much good for growing anything else. Kitchen garden location is in this space here. Should be close enough to the outlet of the deck that it's easy access. The requested worm farm can be located at this end of the deck for easy feeding of the worm tea down to here, or an alternative to that is in the greenhouse, both accessible easily from the kitchen for adding garden scraps, and tea can get to this location also. The house itself is already fairly efficient from additional insulation added here, windows being replaced and beefed up on all sides here. For photovoltaics, it's fairly cost effective these days. For a panel on this side of the roof, can be fed down to the basement for a battery bank, charge controller, and inverter. Can also be tied in with a location to enclose a generator underneath the deck here. There's room behind the house here for a second glass house sunroom area for additional plant startings. And we have compost bins located just slightly down the property here. Should be easy access for completed humus to get back to the kitchen garden. That's our overview. My congratulations on an outstanding course. Best to all.